I think he's done that thing again where he's muted and not realised.
Hi, lads.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, apart from the game.
Hi,
Yeah, it was all
everyone.
good until the
Welcome
football
to
started.
the post-match reaction, I guess. I'm your spare parts, Joe. How are we all doing?
Can you hear me?
There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ryan keeps doing this to me. Now then, people, welcome back to the Just Joe Football Show. It's time for your instant match reaction. I don't want to spend an age giving my synopsis on it because I'm frustrated, annoyed, and pissed off that Leeds United, I don't know, Millwall did Millwall, and Leeds United could have played 4 games and still not scored tonight. It was just one of them. I thought, look, we can talk about Leeds United's performance, but sometimes you just come up against an opposition that ain't gonna let you score. You know, I said 1-0 either way. Pre-match, I thought the first goal was huge, and unfortunately, it went to Millwall. And yeah, probably a point was a fair result. But yeah, look, we lost the game. Probably Sunderland will drop points, but listen, this game will not define Leeds United season. But we are here to talk about it. Naturally, people are talking about Farke as though like it's his fault and all that sort of stuff. And listen, we can talk about things that he did right and wrong, but yeah, there was. Yeah, we just didn't create an awful lot. I think too many people had off days. I thought Willie Gnonto, we've been talking about him, he was rubbish tonight. Aronson ran around. Pirro was non-existent in the first half. Yeah, I don't know what else we can say other than Millwall does. Neil Harris will be buzzing. He'll be saying, you know, we've still not played anyone half decent and all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, anyway, Andrea. I haven't seen you for ages. I haven't seen you that much that you've grown a little goatee and that. You look more Italian today than you normally do. How did you see it, mate? Talk to me.
Yeah, just looking at this game, you know, like you said, it won't define our season, but yeah, it was too lethargic, the performance. We weren't really happy for it. Didn't create an offer. Honestly, didn't create at all because I think the right word to describe our performance was total confusion, honestly, because we started well, but as soon as we didn't find the central route, the verticality, the space in order to get the ball to Pirro, to get the ball into spaces where Aronson could progress it with the ball, we started to become predictable, to become lethargic, honestly. I think substitution needed to happen earlier in the game. I would like to see Guilavogui. I would have liked to see Solomon earlier because Gnonto was, I think, really not into the game tonight at all. Kept losing every 1v1 situation.
He's been so inconsistent, man. It's doing me head in a little bit because a couple of games ago he was class, and then for last 3 he's been shy again.
It's his story. It's the story of his career, unfortunately. He has good moments, but he doesn't find continuity. He doesn't find consistency. And today, I think it was also due to the game plan too, because it's down to him, the 1v1 situation, but we had Gnonto and Aronson always too near each other, too narrow. And there was no space for Firpo to get forward, same as the other side. I think James played well considering all the other players. I think James was decent tonight because he tried to get at his defender. He tried to, you know, to gain weight for the team, but also because of that, we had Bogle staying more back in our formation, and we know that Bogle helps the team more when he has the space to get forward. But James was more, I'm gonna go towards the corner, you know, not try to get inside, you know. And Gnonto did the other thing, but he never managed to succeed. Honestly, I think it was down to every section of the team. Honestly, midfield, Tanaka tried to create to give the rhythm to the team, but Rothwell was caught in between, you know, the Millwall players. I didn't understand the substitution, honestly. I would have kept Rothwell and taken Aronson off, honestly. I would have liked, because if you look at Rothwell, he was playing in a higher position compared to Tanaka, so Tanaka was all alone in many times, high ball. And yeah, honestly, I think something needed to change earlier in the side, because Pirro, he started well, honestly, tried to get to the ball, one-touch pass and trying to speak back. But as the game progressed, it was really out of it, honestly. So it was a enough night for everyone, honestly.
Loads there. Loads for us to get into. Joe, anything you want to add? I'm pissed off, mate. I'm sorry.
I think the annoying thing for me is we can't even say it was a case of we didn't create anything at all because we had 14 shots. We just didn't do anything with them. We had 12 corners and we didn't do that much with them. I think the best chance that we had was a corner where we didn't even technically win the ball after it because it's the one where Firpo just completely missed it and was trying to have a shot. And I think that corner sort of sums up the night. It sums it up as a night of a hell of a lot went quite well in terms of controlling the game and creating opportunities, but that final bit, that final touch, that final idea just didn't happen at any point.
Yeah.
Which is a little bit disappointing, especially when, and fair enough, banger of a finish from them. But it always felt like one of those games where if Millwall score, they're going to do the Millwall thing for the rest of the match, aren't they? And it's going to feel like the rest of the time a little bit wasted because that's what they do.
Well, it's their MO. I always felt like the first goal would be huge. They got it. It came from a set piece. The lead up to the set piece, all that sort of stuff. Don't give away cheap fouls, silly fouls. We do, and all they were doing, even if it was too central, just working the angle. Let's get the ball in the box. Cooper's going to get there because he's about 9 foot, and no one was wise to the drop ball. And then boom, we're 1-0 down. You know what I mean? It is what it is. I can't remember us having as many corners in a game, and just knowing that against Millwall we were not going to get feck all that. And the one that we played on the floor, Firpo decided to air shot the one. I was like, oh my god! And then someone put in the chat actually. Someone put in the chat that all our crosses came in the box before you put Joseph and Bamford on. Then we had Joseph, Bamford and Pirro, and we didn't cross the ball into the box once. Like, do you know what I mean? What are we doing? Easy. I said, once they scored one, I said at half-time, we won't get back into this game, and it proved to be the case. It was horrible, weren't it?
Yeah, it was. But it was always going to be a very horrible game. Millwall are a very horrible team to play. But they're incredibly well drilled at their horribleness. Like it's vile, disgusting anti-football, but it gets the job done. They are so regimented when it comes to just having a plan and sticking to it. And I don't think we've given away as many free kicks as we've given away today. And this is a team that you cannot afford to give away free kicks to. And, that's all we had to do. If we hadn't have given away free kicks, they wouldn't have scored, but it was incredibly frustrating. And I agree the fact that we could have played that game for another few hours and we wouldn't have scored. I thought that, to be honest, team selection for me, games like this scream for starting Joseph in order to stretch the centre backs, and then you bring on Pirro to hopefully get that goal later on. I don't think Pirro does enough, and this isn't me bashing Pirro. This is just working to other players' strengths, which Joseph is much better at, working and running and pressing the defenders and giving them something to think about. Pirro just doesn't do that, but he is incredibly accurate. So, we should have just done that. Taking Rothwell off, I didn't understand that, if I'm being honest. Aronson looked knackered because he had done so much running around to mixed kind of effectiveness, but he'd done the running around. Rothwell as well was one of the only players that was willing to go long with, just cutting everybody out. We aren't physical enough to get through Millwall, so we need to skip past them. And we were all just tippy-tappying it around at the back. It felt very Southampton-esque tonight, kind of thing. There was a lot of passes, but without doing anything, and it made it so frustrating, and then just played right into Millwall's hands. Yeah, it wasn't meant to be. But we suck it up and we go again. And that's all you can really say about it, because it is what it is. Millwall are, like I put in your chat earlier on, are the best that I think we will face all season when it comes to low block. And we didn't do it. Okay. We didn't get decimated. It wasn't a QPR. We lost 1-0 on a set piece. Crap. I feel crap. I feel angry. I want to smash shit up right now. I'm not going to lie. But it is what it is. I'll feel fine tomorrow.
Yeah, it's championship. It's one of them, innit? Paul, anything to add, my man?
Right. Okay. So before we get going, people saying Fark out. We're still third. For God's sakes, have a word with yourselves. So, first things first. We were poor. Every man on that pitch was poor tonight. Even the ones that had a little bit of a decent game, everybody was poor. They've been drilled and they've been set up to play in a particular way all week, or over a couple of days, and they didn't perform. We were too slow. We were too narrow. We didn't have the right ideas. Piri wasn't moving enough. Gnonto is Gnonto of when he first signed, and he has been for the past 2 to 3 games now, I think. He's been regressing slightly for me. That's not trying to dig him out. That's just facts when you look at the way that he's playing, in my humble opinion. Rothwell was, Tanaka was getting kicked to crap for most of the first half, and nobody was doing anything about it. The decision-making was poor. The movement was poor. Just everything. At the end of the day, if we want to get promoted, we have to look at these games as players, and we have to stand up and be counted. And I'm sorry, but not a single one of those players tonight can say that they can stand up and be counted. Meslier makes a stupid mistake making the kick out long. And then Struijk handballs it and they get the free kick in a central position. However, what I will say is we had chances to sort that out and we didn't. So the defence absolutely cooked it on that one. Meslier makes the mistake by making the kick out long instead of playing it so short. And we had chances to deal with that. I don't hold Meslier to blame for conceding the goal as such, because there was about 18 players in front of him at the time when the ball comes past. Yeah, he goes down in stages, but it is what it is. But for me, you have to stand up and be counted, and they're not. They weren't. They just weren't. It's completely different to Plymouth in terms of the way that they played. I don't understand why that happens. If we want to, the only thing we're consistent at this moment in time is being inconsistent. Our consistency is our inconsistency. That's what we're good at the moment. We can't seem to string 3 or 4 run of games together, and I'm still yet to see Solomon really, really present me with anything. Bamford coming on in the 80th.
He was good tonight, Paul. He was good when he came on.
Coming on in the 80th minute. If he thinks he's that good, then he needs to be doing more. And that's not me. There's a good player in there because we saw it when he first started. He's still not that sharp yet. Bamford coming on in the 80th minute. What's the point? What is the point?
I mean, to be fair, if
You've
the
got
ref
a
didn't
throw.
give something for someone throwing themselves on the ground, he would have been one-on-one with the keeper.
You've got to give things a go. I thought Arrington was good tonight, personally. I thought Solomon showed flashes. But I guess because we've seen it before, him just throwing the kitchen sink at it.
It doesn't work. It doesn't work. That's the thing that frustrates me. And that they've got to start standing up and you're going to have tough games. And what they need to do is they need to get with the program when it comes to this little dirty.
Paul, I think you're being very harsh. We're unbeaten in 8. You're being very harsh.
Not anymore.
But we're unbeaten in 8 though. That's 8 games without defeat.
No, I understand what you're saying, and I get it. And you know what I'm like. I'm normally Mr. Positivity. And I'll go with it. But what I can't defend is players that seem to, not that they don't give a shit. I just want a bit more fight. I want a bit more of just a bit more bite about them. Don't go down there and shrink because it's Millwall. I
don't think they shrunk.
I think
we didn't play well, but I don't think.
I think it was down to the confusion, the tactical confusion, because the game plan was the same as other games, but you had a different opponent. And like I think Evie mentioned, the physicality was different. The type of opponent you were facing was different. So I think in the end, the main thing that put the players in positions not to perform was the game plan because we're too wide. The two wingers were too wide. We had Aronson near Gnonto. We didn't have anyone in the middle. And when we get in the middle, we were too narrow. And there was just too much congestion, honestly. I think it's down to the game plan tonight, honestly.
Way
Make a good point there, but you're on about our game plan. They play to that script week in, week out. They did it at Burnley at the weekend. That's their game plan.
Yeah.
You know, it's very, very difficult to go. I was open. I said I expected a draw at best tonight, and I you know, I'm relatively positive as they come. But yeah, I mean, it felt like a Millwall away midweek game. Do you know what I mean? When we played them there last season, it was an anomaly. We smashed them 3-0. It was a weekend game. I think it was a Saturday or a Sunday because I gave my ticket up to take my daughter to watch some show in the West End, if I remember rightly. But it was not that that's important. I don't know why I'm telling you my life story.
West End!
Hinterland.
I know it was good actually. I can't remember what it was. It was, but anyway, it was a proper Championship midweek away game, and that's what I expected. That's the first proper one we've had. Arguably, Bristol as well the other week was quite similar, and it's just on the road in the week. We've got to take into account these differentials in games. We are the best side in the league, great, but we're not always going to be the best side on the field, and that doesn't necessarily mean the best footballers on the field. It means playing to a particular style that suits your players that are on the field in a certain sort of position. It's just. It baffles me why people are getting so angry about it. I pretty much expected this, and I'll be honest with you.
I said 1-0 either way. I said 1-0 either way.
I think for me, just from a sorry, I know I'm going on a bit. For me, I think it's just I just want to see a bit more passion from some of them sometimes. When we go narrow and start playing it slow, we're not playing to our strengths. We all know if we play it quick, move it around fast, and get it around the players quickly, how good we can actually be.
We couldn't know, Paul. They played to their game plan.
I think the thing that pisses me off is, or the thing that annoys me.
You just want to see someone punch someone.
Yeah, pretty much.
Firpo tried it at the end, to be fair to him. He just tried to cut someone into the scratch.
It's just that kind of, it almost felt like for the last kind of 10 minutes, it was almost like they just kind of accepted it. Do you know what I mean? And and it's not me trying to dig out the players and go that they're all shite, because they're not. We do have the best team in the league. I just want to see sometimes you have to be a little bit dirty and a little bit more than just the nice ticky-tacky stuff sometimes and passing it around the back. I just want to see some of that sometimes. But
do you know we missed today? And I think it's probably the first time so far since he's gone. No, I think we missed Rutter today. Because if you remember the first opening goal against Millwall last season, that from the back, where we got it in like 4 passes and we just completely bypassed them by quick, decisive Pirro-Rutter interchange, is how we got through that, because we just got the ball. And because Rutter was big and physical, sometimes the ball would just stick to him whilst he's making those runs.
Millwall were a completely different team last season, though. Let's be honest. They weren't
different manager,
a completely different side. They didn't play to that game plan. They were completely. They were very easy to beat last season. They were shite. I think they only just escaped relegation by a couple of points, if I remember rightly.
Yeah,
they were a completely different side. They're in fifth in the league now.
Sorry, I'm getting triggered, right? Folks, in the chat, right? If we are not the best team in the league, then tell me who is, right? Tell me in the chat. I want you all to put now who is a better team than Leeds United, and I'll tell you why they're not. If you think it's based on league position, okay, game 46, fair enough. If you think it's better than based on league position, there are 2 teams above us, right? Them teams are Sheffield United and Sunderland. Guess what? We dicked them both. So don't talk shit, right? Just because we've gone to London, gone to Millwall, and they have done what Millwall do, right? Done what Millwall do. So if Sunderland, right, people who are saying Sunderland, they've just gone to Preston and 0-0, right? One game against Millwall, right, will not define this season. I think it's crazy to say that other teams are better than us based on tonight's result. You will lose games of football. It was terrible tonight. It wasn't great. But these things happen. If we got the first goal, we'd have won the game. Ultimately, we didn't. you know? And everyone's saying Sunderland. It's not true. Did you watch us against Sunderland? Did you see what we did to Sunderland? They are not better than Leeds United. They're not. And if you think they are, then what? And Kilgallen, you want to talk about triggered? Bro, Rodon was not fouled. You told me you were going to unsubscribe. What are you back for? Get in the bin. Who's triggered? You couldn't keep yourself away, could you? Jack, over to you, my man. You look fuming. Talk to me.
I didn't think you were that bad. I thought start the second half. I felt like we were. I think being a little bit harsh, saying that they're not bothered and that they've sort of thrown it in the last 10 minutes. I don't think that's the case. It got a bit fragmented when we, I never used to mind though in the first year when he sort of launched everybody on up top, a bit like champ manager style. I didn't actually mind that initially, and I think we've seen that enough now to sort of know that doesn't work. I mean, at one point, I think Firpo were on ball and they were like, well, every single sort of centre forward at the club was stood next to each other, and then Solomon were trying to find some space, and like Solomon desperately needs space. I actually thought Solomon were good when he came on. Thought he was a beating player every time he got ball. Thought Aronson worked really hard. I think the goal's really poor, and then we nearly conceded another had it not been for Joseph's finishing. So because he obviously ended up hitting post with it. I don't know what feed everybody were watching, but I call Struik, Stroik, everything, but never Stoik. He kept calling him
Stoic, wasn't it? Pascal Stoic.
Stoic, I like. Well, that's a new one, but so I got some enjoyment.
Greek philosopher.
We've had Joe Rondon and Pascal Stoic.
Yeah, it's good stuff. But and to suggest Gnonto gets a lot of stick every time somebody talks about him at the moment as well. He's joint assists, and I never care about stats, but we can't say that we watch the game and then say it's about.
He's been
stats,
poor though, Jack. He's been poor.
He's number one. He's joint top in assists this season, so he's contributing. And then he set up last week, didn't he? Got an assist at weekend.
Yes,
so
he did, yeah.
Gnonto,
but do you think it's because we hold the standards here, bro?
You what?
Do you think it's because we expect Gnonto standards up here, though?
Yeah, I think Gnonto's better than what he's playing at currently. But like I say all the time, you're only comparing him to himself, and that is quite literally. We've seen flashes in Gnonto that are absolutely awesome, and he's not been his awesome self this season. But you can't suggest he ain't putting it in. It's not like he ain't trying to affect the game. He does beat players. He does a lot of things that I think people just pass off as though that's just what Gnonto does. Very rare do you think this left back or this right back's got him, he can't get by him or he can't affect the game. His final ball's not been great. He's had little flashes with it. He were off it today. His 5-yard passes, like his sort of through balls were a bit heavy and stuff. I'm not saying he had a good game today, but I just think put some spec on his name a little bit. Tanaka, again, like he's immune from criticism, but if everybody was poor in the side, what's it that got to do if Tanaka's getting odd kick? He's gonna get kicked, isn't he? So I thought, I don't know. It is what it is. Millwall, I'd hate to watch them every week. I had to watch them today, the beaters. See in a bit, see you at home. I'm sure we'll batter them, see if they actually bring any fans this season. Didn't bring any last year. I don't know.
Yeah,
we'll go up top 2. See you.
Love it. I love it, Jack. Right, JT. Come on, the chat have been wanting you to tell us Farker, he's shit and all that. Give them what they want, bro. Give them what they want. Talk to us, bro. What about tonight?
Well, to be fair, I echo Jack's sentiment. I don't think it was the worst game from Leeds United. I thought the first half was relatively measured and controlled. It was just similar issues, again, repeating themselves in terms of the final balls and the final productivity not quite being there, not even a matter of not finishing chances. It's just not creating the right chances. I thought Millwall defended superbly. They were very tight, very compact, and they were forcing Leeds into wide areas. And when we did get there, I thought we left a little bit to be desired for. Bogle, couple of wayward crosses. I know he put a great one in for the goal, which I still haven't seen a good enough angle for as to whether that's offside.
It was offside, bro. It was.
Was you saw a good angle? Okay, I was watching on Sky, so that's why I said I'll reserve judgment until I see a better angle.
Yeah.
But it was a good ball in by him and a good flick on by James. But aside from that, I think when we did get the ball in wide areas, Gnonto as well had a little bit of success first couple of minutes taking his man down the line, but then after that he kind of got marked out. He was forced back centrally, and it just did seem a little bit sideways and backwards from Leeds, but it was still a controlled and measured game until one real slip up with the goal. I actually think, I think it was a well taken goal as well. I think a little bit too harsh defensively in there. It was a good ball forward. Yeah, maybe you shouldn't have left Bogle with his man there. He was outmarked physically. The header back across goal was good. And maybe you shouldn't have left Tanganga with as much space as he had in the edge of the 18-yard box there. But when he got the ball, it was a great volleyed finish. And I can't complain too much about that. It was a well-worked goal. Millwall defended well. They played their game plan perfectly. I think the referee, maybe if he hadn't been quite as reluctant to pull out the yellow cards as he was, maybe it would have affected their game plan because they were bullying us a little bit at times in the midfield there, and the ref wasn't giving bookings. I thought Tanganga should have got one earlier than he did, for example. But overall, they played very well. Leeds' final third, not quite good enough and a little bit too late to make the changes. If I was going to level one criticism again, I would say bring players on a little bit earlier rather than trying the shock thing. 3 strikers on the pitch again. Perot in the number 6 return. He seems all right at. And actually on the substitution, Solomon, you're speaking about him earlier. I thought Solomon was a touch of class today. I thought he was a big improvement on Gnonto on that left-hand side. And as you said, I wouldn't say Gnonto's playing horrifically, by his standards. Maybe people judge him hard, but I do think that Solomon is potentially in contention to get him ahead of him in the next game, just based off that performance. And he does seem like he's getting a bit of flow back into him. I think Dan James has been outperforming Gnonto a bit this season as well. So you just got to let, judge these players based on the players in their position. I thought Solomon came on very well, and Bamford actually, when he came on, I thought was the better of the two out of Bamford and Joseph. And what I would say about Perot, listen, great finisher, as he said, when he gets the chances, clinical finisher. It's just his movement in behind. It leaves us a little bit congested. You need a striker sometimes to pull defenders out of position, to hold off the ball, because it allows a little bit more space for the front 3 behind them to operate. I thought it was a bit congested. You saw once he dropped deeper, instantly Joseph igniting the press, gave us a little bit more energy up there. And Bamford, his movement to pull defenders away. The link-up play with Solomon, as you said, when your man threw himself to the ground and gave away. Could have been in there on goal. And the other one, which really impressed me, was the cross in. I forget by who, and it's into the box. And Bamford just gets himself in between himself and the defender. Not selfish at all. Sees Perot in a better position, gets himself in between himself and the defender, touches it down on the inside of the foot, and unfortunately, Perot's volley left a little bit to be desired for. But I'd really like to see Bamford get some game time, and especially if you are going to give Solomon a crack as well. I think those two actually seem to have some really good chemistry going on down there, and I'm excited to see what that could look like for more minutes of the match. But I thought those two were the ones that really impressed me coming off the pitch in terms of changing the game. Joseph struggled to get involved aside from the header onto the post, which actually was good defensively because there was a man coming in behind him, but I did give you a squeaky bum time a little bit there. But listen, not the worst performance from Leeds, as you said, still a couple of points off automatic zone. Would have liked us to take advantage of the opportunity of Sunderland dropping points, but hey ho, what can you do?
I love that, bro. Everyone was there expecting you to start bashing back, and you've ended by saying bring back Bamford. So all them fans that you had have just switched off. They all hate you again now. I love it. JT,
like America,
that was fucking exceptional analysis, bro. Thank you very much for that. I loved that. We've got some super chats in, so we'll go through them. I'll fire them at people. Sean Ely says, this wasn't Farke's fault, and that's me saying it. No player tonight did their job tonight. If it was me, they wouldn't get paid for that shite. Andre, you've just things. Do you agree with him? With that?
I disagree totally. I totally disagree. I think it was like JT said. I think the substitution needed to happen earlier. I was surprised to not see Guilavogui tonight, honestly, because I think it was a game, especially in the second half. Because in the second half we were worse than the first half for me. Absolutely, 100%. We needed an experienced player, and let's not forget that he played in a different position, and he's a player that he can bring the strength in the middle. He can bring the fight in the middle. We needed a player willing to fight there, because Rothwell didn't impact the game, didn't have an impact on the game, but it wasn't down to him, honestly, because Tanaka was far distant compared to Rothwell, so you completely lost Rothwell by playing him in that role. Looking at the low block, if you want to play him there, okay, you put Aronson off because he was really retired. He tried to get into the game, Aronson, but again, I think he was too near, too close to Gnonto. Honestly, they were going for the same balls. So I think something needed to change, and needed to change earlier, because also we mentioned Pirot. he wasn't impacting the game tonight. So I would have liked to see Joseph because he attacks in behind, and also Bamford, one of the two, but he needed to change earlier, honestly. The game plan wasn't working, so the substitution, in order to try to get a grip of this game, try to read this game better, because it wasn't working compared to other games where it worked because they were different oppositions. I think Farke needed to change, and I wasn't really on the same page with the timing of the substitution. 13 minutes is too little to have an impact for a substitute, honestly, for me.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that needs to work. You should have seen Joseph sooner. I think JT was bang on in terms of straight away,
absolutely.
just chase down the keeper and force the keeper to put it into fucking Rose Edge, Evie, I'm going to come to you with this. Chris says, sorry, boss man, tonight reminds me of last year, just not good enough against weaker opposition. I know that was something you brought to the fore last season. And the 4 games that we had after we beat Sheffield United, I said I wanted 12. We've got 4. We've beaten Plymouth, which you should do. We draw against Bristol away, and then we've got beat tonight. Are you a little bit worried that I think it's a fair discussion point. Is that a worry for you yet, or is it a bit too soon?
I mean, yes and no, because can we really call Millwall a bottom side when they're currently sat fifth? So they're above West Brom, I think, right now.
Yeah,
so,
they will be, yeah.
And we wouldn't have been calling West Brom a bottom of the league team. So, it's not great. I'm not going to lie. I think Farke's game plan was wrong tonight. I think his personnel choice was wrong tonight. I think that I feel sorry that Byram's broken in terms of because of his history, because I actually think the last 2 games he's done really well. And I think as well, he is a little bit more, with him being older, he can read games a little bit better than Bogle can. I think he's a little bit calmer. Bogle was quite irrational at times, and there was some really dodgy decision making. It's like that suspension just kind of has made his head go back to the beginning of the season, and all of the good kind of, he'd got actually, he seemed to have learned from his mistakes, and then they've all kind of crept back in this game. And I think that, I do think that we're being harsh on Gnonto, because I do think he should have come off earlier, or he should have moved over to the right, maybe. I don't think Dan James was as effective as he usually is. I think he was trying, but I just don't think he was that effective. And I think he would have been more effective had Joseph started. So I think you see the best out of Dan James when you have a forward who can read the game a bit better than Pirro can. And I believe that both Joseph and Bamford, I know we don't like to say his name and throw some salt over my shoulder or something, but he is a better forward-thinking striker, both of them are, than Pirro. So I think that that's how you get the best out of Dan James. I'm not concerned when it comes to the beating the bottom of the teams, because we haven't played that many of them in terms of, Bristol. Yeah, that's a disappointing one. If I'm more I think we should have won that game. I would have been not happy with the loss. I'm never going to be happy with the loss, but this game is more predictable because it's Millwall. They're incredibly good. This is their bread and butter kind of thing, So for as much,
and they're now the most informed team in the league. I'm not trying to change things after the fact, but they're unbeaten in 6, I think.
We poor. We always seem, for supporters, we always seem to see the worst in our team, i.e. we were poor, so it wasn't that Millwall was bad. And then when we won against Plymouth, it's because Plymouth were poor. Now, Plymouth were actually the most dreadful team I've seen at Ellen Road in years. But why are we never the good ones? Why is it always our fault? The other team was bad. It's not that we were good. Or, Millwall were good today. They had a brilliant game plan and they executed it perfectly. And you just have to suck it up and go home. But I'm not worried about the bottom of the table teams, because I do think that he's got to learn in terms of, and maybe that does concern me, Farke hasn't shown that he's great at learning in games. And for me, that game, you know I don't get paid the money, but that game for me had Joseph written all over it to start rather than Pirro. Pirro doesn't do what we needed him to do. And I agree with Andrea. I would have liked to see Gilavogi on today, because not only because of his physical presence, but his leadership in terms of he's older, he's commanding. We've got a very naive young team. So I think having somebody that's been there, that's done it all before, I think that's what was missing, you know, and somebody as well, like, you're just not going to get past them. So for as much as Millwall are full of kind of shit houses, you know, we've got a man who's like 6 foot tall and 6 foot wide kind of thing, you know. So I think we need.
Could have definitely done with him on set pieces, couldn't we, against Cooper, for example?
Yeah, exactly.
Because every set piece that came in, it was Cooper and then knockdowns. You know what I mean?
He's only 6'2", apparently.
He's a giant, though. He looks a giant.
6'2". I couldn't believe it.
Did you see him against when I was at the game against Plymouth when he came on? He's just fucking ginormous. He's a big guy.
It was so funny. At one point there was a corner, right, and there was Melier, Jake Cooper, and then little Willie Gnonto in between them all, man, trying to get him away. I was like, yeah, that's not going to work for you, bro. Luke, man, Lord says, I knew the game was over after the Hail Mary substitutions. Too many players off the boil tonight. It is, I think Jack mentioned it, Luke. He said it's very championshipy, like the 3 striker. Do you know what I did like is when he brought off Bogle and you brought on Solomon, and I thought, oh, he's trying to do something, you know, tactically he's changing something, but then it culminated in him still going, fuck it, I'm going to throw everybody on who plays forward, and then it's like, any sort of credibility thing gone.
Yeah, it doesn't really often work. I think it worked once last year at Norwich, didn't it?
Once against
Norwich, yeah.
And I think if I remember rightly, but I mean, what else does he do? Like, do you know what I mean? If you're chasing a goal, and you've got 96% of the possession at the time, and in terms of territory, they weren't really breaking into our half. Why not have all your best attacking players on the field? And I get where it's got. It doesn't work, and I don't think it's effective, clearly, because it's only worked once. But what else do you do? I mean, it is very champ manager or football manager or whatever you call it, but it's what else do you do? Bring on Charlie Crew or Gilavogi? What difference are they going to make in a game like that when you've already got Tanaka on? You know what I mean? And they're not. You know, we've brought all the wingers on. Who else do we bring on? Like, other than the attacking options we've got in a game where we're attacking predominantly. So, yeah, I mean, I don't mind it, and I think I sort of agree a bit with JT. I thought Bamford looked quite lively when he came on, his movement and that. He was pulling players about and stuff. Him and Solomon down that left side, but yeah, it is predictable, and it almost looks like that is his plan B, Hail Mary and go for it. But look, if it works 2-3 times in this season, we'll probably be lauding him for it. So, I don't know what other options there is, Joe, to be honest with you, other than when you don't bring a defensive player on in that situation. What's the point? There's absolutely no point, is there? There's no point bringing on a centre back or a left back or a right back.
Gilavogi is not just a defensive player for me, because he showed, especially in Germany, that he can get forward, he can shoot from outside the box. He used to play also, when he started, more forward, then he moved backwards as he career.
Who would you have brought on for, Andrea?
Yeah, I was gonna bring him on, honestly, for Aronson, because you just said Rothwell there. Yeah, just because I'm gonna explain to you honestly, because the main problem.
Just before you do, Andrea, really, really quickly, let me just say we've only seen Gilavogi for 20 minutes against Plymouth.
Yeah, absolutely. I know, but I know the kind of player he is, so what he can bring to the table, honestly. Of course, he's not gonna be the main man because he knows his place inside the squad until Ampadu and Gruyev come back from injury, honestly. The problem for me was that we had many players, especially in the final third, but we had no one going central. We just kept playing the ball to Tanaka, center back Tanaka, and then to the wingers. So we didn't. We did that a bit at the start of the first half, you know, with Pirro going towards the ball, passing the ball to Gnonto, try to get inside, you know, with the forward run, you know, trying to get in behind, you know. But we never did that throughout the game, and that's, I think, the thing that we missed really today, because even when we were pushing them, sieging them, you know, in the final third towards the end of the game, we just relied on Solomon when we won, and on the other side with the cross on the other side, you know, we never got got the ball to the strikers in order to try to get in behind with a 1-2 situation there. And I think that's what we missed. So if not Gilavogi, I would have liked to see, one of the two midfielders, more involved in that situation, because we just passed the ball to Tanaka, and Tanaka passed the ball because he had many players, just one Leeds player, because Aronson, Rothwell, they were always encircled by Millwall player. We had Gnonto try to get inside and too close with Aronson. So I think we needed one more midfielder there, honestly, involved in the build-up. Try to get the ball to the strikers, because we barely get them the ball tonight, honestly.
Yeah. Pope, Farker's been talking, Jack. He said Daniel Farker felt he didn't need to disrupt the rhythm of the game by making subs before the 70th minute. Happy with the dominant performance, but Roos missed chances. What do you make to that? I mean, the changing before the 70, we could have done with it changing.
I've been debating this in my head during game, because you know he's not going to make them before 70 minutes.
Yeah. But that's a problem, isn't it, though? That we know that.
So, like, the only argument I would give towards playing to 70 minutes would be every single player knows that they've got 70 minutes. One thing I know just from playing at an absolute whack level, you know if you're sort of first person to get dragged off, and if you get 60 minutes and think, I'm actually getting into a bit of a rhythm here, I feel like I've got something to offer within the game. Some players come on I don't mean come on the pitch, I mean come on within the game, 60 minutes in. They need that extra 10 minutes. I just also want to say about the 80 minutes hauling everybody on. I know I said it's a bit champ manager that, but ultimately, if it does work twice, how often does any subs actually pull off in 80th minute? Might as well create a bit of carnage, like what Luke said. Well, what's he to do really? I suppose it looks a bit daft, doesn't it? Because we've got beat 1-0 and he's lobbed everybody on and gone, here, just go cause a bit of... But if one drops to him, like when Bamford legitimately threw on goal there, that's potentially, if ref don't give a stinker, that's potentially one of the times it would have worked. So I don't really know how many times somebody comes on after 80 minutes, even if it's just one change. I just think 60 minutes, I just think it freshens it up. And I agree with when he brought Rothwell off, though. I thought he was going to put like Aronson sort of more centre mid, and let him play it, and then put like James more central or whatever, and go Solomon wide left. But he seemed to rush that as well. And then we turned it. If you do that at 60 minutes, I just think you're giving Solomon
more time. Yeah.
Yeah. And for him to get something going, because by the time Solomon's been on for 10 minutes, at that point, now we're in the 80th minute, and now the game is a bit crazy because we've lobbed everybody on. If you keep the structure at 60 minutes, you can't tell me Solomon's going to come and disrupt that structure. He can squeeze into that side. But is it a bit of teething problems like early on in season? We've got a lot of new players ultimately. I'm not necessarily saying new to the side necessarily, but it's always hard to break down teams that just want to come and kick a bit of a stink out. They were delighted, weren't they, to be 1-0 up, really. They offered nothing other than that. I mean, I actually thought the first 10 minutes they were half decent. They looked like they wanted to press a bit, but that sort of went away. But I don't know. Farker's going to say that, because
Farker doesn't do digging players out or digging the team out in the press conference.
There's no need to dig anybody out there.
No, there isn't. No, absolutely, there isn't. I hate it when managers do that. But that's one thing that Farker definitely will not do. He just won't do that publicly. And not that there's any need to dig him out anyway.
Nobody needs digging out. I don't think any of them... when players are shirking it, I think, when they don't want it. I didn't get that feeling today. And I know everybody just says, I'm just happy all the time. If you think I enjoyed watching that, you're on something.
I think for me, the reason why probably I kind of go a little bit harder, or I went a little bit harder tonight, is just because you just think, you worry in the back of your mind that are we starting to see the same things that we saw last season with an inability to break things down, and is it potentially history?
I think that's holding us up to. I think it holds us up to 100% record again. Though it's like if we don't win every single game, it's just teams don't win every single game. I mean, Man City got beat at weekend and stuff.
I understand that. And I'm not saying I can completely stand losing a game if I feel like everybody's given 100%.
Do you not think they did?
Not tonight. I don't think they did. I don't think they did.
Who didn't want it?
Gnonto wasn't good enough for me tonight.
Yeah, but that was
100%.
performance. He tried, though.
Performance
He
wise,
gave 100%.
Structure.
But I also think as well, like Andrea says, I don't think we were set up correctly for tonight.
But just on a play, though, if they don't perform well, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're throwing it in. He just had a shit game.
Yeah, and he won that.
No, I understand that. I understand that. And I'm kind of putting myself a bit out here because then everybody jumps on and go, no, you can't say that. But it's...
Well, you can say what you want.
No, I know. But
I think it's semantics, really. I think everybody's actually saying the same thing.
Yeah,
it's just that one person's wording it differently.
I don't think you're having a go. I just want it left on the pitch, I think, is what I'm saying. And I don't know, maybe I'm just feeling emotional at the moment. Maybe I need to just take my medication or go and smoke something. But it just, I just want them to. Do you know what I mean? What else did he say? He said that he could see tears in their eyes and he wanted them to see the pain and everything and stuff like that, and wanted them to experience the pain. That's fine. I don't know. Something I'm not feeling it.
But like with Gnonto, for instance, I don't really know. He's a bit of a stroppy lad when he plays, so I don't. It's like requesting a different personality out of them just because we're 1-0 down. If Gnonto's not contributing going forward or setting somebody up or scoring a goal, Gnonto, what else is he going to do? That's why he had a poor performance. For me, it's really difficult to do what he does every single week.
The biggest issue that I have with Gnonto at the moment is he's not as effective for me on the left-hand side compared to the right-hand side. But the issue from that side of things is that James has been playing so well, you're not going to replace him, are you? You're going to put Gnonto over onto the left-hand side because he's maybe a little bit more similar to Ramazani style of play kind of thing.
But Paul, in the Premier League, he played left wing and was our best player for that the season we got relegated, did Willie Gnonto.
No, I know, but from what I've seen so far, that movement for him being over on the left-hand side, it hasn't helped him as much. Personally, I just think he's more effective on the right. He's still good, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying he's shit, because he's not. He's a brilliant footballer. And we forget, he's only young at the same time as well. But I don't think he's been as effective on the left-hand side compared to when it was Ramazani, Gnonto, left-hand side, right-hand side with Aronson in the middle.
I'd like to see him, honestly, more in a position more closer to the striker, not that wide like he was tonight, because I think he has so much ground to make up. Honestly, I mean, he's just the 1v1 situation. Otherwise, if he's more central, he can, play the 1-2 situation pass and getting behind with the striker, and he can do. I remember a goal like that last season at Bristol. It was, I think. But yeah, overall, I think Paul is also another thing. I think the league this season is worse compared to last season in terms of level. So I think people, and rightly so, I think, expect more from the team because we know that we have the best squad in the league compared to the other teams. Honestly, we showed that against Sheffield United. We showed that at Sunderland. If it wasn't for that error, but a mistake by Melia, we won that game. So I think, there's just this rush to get promoted, honestly, because people want us to win every game. And if we don't, there's the meltdown every time. There's no balance. There's over happiness, like when we win Plymouth, and we know Plymouth have their problems. Every one of us, I think, we don't honestly have a good opinion of Wayne Rooney as a manager. So that's
by the way, Plymouth win yesterday, and Rooney's a genius all of a sudden, isn't he? So swings it round about.
It's over happiness when we win, and over criticism when we lose. I think we're in a good position still.
Of course,
Farke, I like Farke, but sometimes in certain games he doesn't read them well for the substitution and all of that. I still like him as a manager, and I think he should be read, game by game. But looking at the overall situation we're in, I think there's just too much overreaction sometimes. After a loss like that, and luckily. No one I've read, as typed and written. Yeah, but it was like their cup final. I don't want to hear that, honestly, from Leeds fans, because we need to. We know that sometimes teams play Arsenal against Leeds because they want to be the best team in the leagues. The teams that push for promotion. And you have to earn it on the pitch. We didn't tonight, and I think overall the result, despite the stats, I don't think we did enough to get a goal. We almost lost 2-0 because of that, also thanks to the post. So I don't think we did enough. tonight. So I think the result is fair in the end, honestly.
I do as well. And listen, the usual suspects, they're waiting. They're waiting for one loss to come with a narrative that eventually, folks, you will be right with. Eventually, you will be right with, because eventually the manager
broken
will
clock and all that.
You can say, I told you so, but Leeds are third. We've lost 2 games now, okay? I told you before the season that Burnley got 101 points. They had less points than us at this stage of the season. It is what it is. There's a long way to go yet, right? There is a very long way to go. A lot of people before the game were saying, yeah, it could be what? Well, could be what? It'll be tough. They're in decent form. And then when we lose, it's like, oh my God, we're shit. How can we be the best team in the league? This manager's terrible, even though people were nervous before the game even kicked off. We all knew, look, this is a team that when scoring first since February haven't lost. Just like us, when we score first, we normally win. The first goal went to them. So, the script was written. The script was written that this was how this would go. First goal was crucial. They got it, and they defended fucking well. And we were the odd chances we did get. Gnonto has the header in the second half. I think if that's Pirro, it might go on target. There's a few chances that went begging. The offside, like James touches it and Pirro's just offside. These games will happen. These games will happen. Man City, haven't won in 4 or something now. Arsenal, they've been beat again tonight. This happens in football. You can't win them all.
Last 3 games, lost last 3.
Yes, exactly. These,
just to caveat as well, I did say at the start of this isn't for people on the panel, this is people in the comments. I did start before I had my little bit of a meltdown, whatever. I did say we're third. It's not the end of the world. However, it's the disappointment that I think sometimes we're all emotional after a win or a loss. That's just the way it goes. And look, tonight isn't going to define our season by any stretch of the imagination. I
think we've been a little bit unfair on Millwall. We've not really mentioned them, but they've played really well to their strengths tonight, and they have done all since Harris has been back there. Look, we can't. I don't think we should discredit them. I think they've got a particular style of football that they're going to play week in, week out, and it will work. It will work against some sides, and it will disrupt and it will spoil. And we've seen tonight what can happen. What the hell's happened there?
I'm sharing the screen just because the second tier, but I can't explain it. But this is the most Millwall run of form ever, and it's exactly what you're touching on now, Luke. 1-0 against Plymouth, 1-0 against Swansea. This is their MO. This is what they do, Luke. I just wanted to share to follow on from your point. Sorry, mate.
Yeah, I think Neil, as much as I hate him and the club and everything they stand for, we can't discredit what they're doing, and they are top of the form league over the last 6, I think now, if memory serves me right. Yeah. So for those people calling them, I've had people calling them a pub team in my DMs and that. Do you know what I mean? We should be beating that pub team that tonight. It's not. They're not a pub team. I've given them some credit where credit's due. That they will win a lot of games playing like that, and then they'll go on a massive losing streak and sack Harris. That's what they always do.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Sure. There's 2 things. First and foremost, I challenge someone to say pub team in South Bermondsey and see the reaction from someone. Second thing, and probably should have said that at the start. Probably. One thing, looking at the world situation or we saw Millwall run of form, but if we look at our run of form, we looking at the away form, we won the first 2, Sheffield Wednesday and Cardiff, and the last ones, we had 3 draws and 1 loss. So, of course, one improvement needs to be the away form, of course, because if we look at the other teams like Sunderland, they won 4. Away from home, we just won 2. And of course, I don't think, apart from the Sunderland one, I don't think the performances away from home, away from Elland Road recently have been like we can be as a team. Looking at the squad and the depth that we have now. So that surely needs to improve, and that's down to the players and the manager, because we have the personnel to do that. We need to improve away from home. Absolutely, because it's crucial in order to get into that top 2, and the teams that are doing well away from home are there now. So we need to improve now away from home.
And also another thing is that Bielsa only beat Millwall once out of the 4 games that he played them, and Farke's already beaten them twice. So, sometimes even with, and I think we would all agree that Bielsa is a better manager, even with a better manager, sometimes you can't beat a low block when it's done effectively.
Millwall did it effectively tonight. Absolutely effectively tonight.
On the manager thing. Sorry.
Bielsa won 3-2, I think.
Go on.
Yeah, so he only beat them once.
Go on, Joe.
On the manager thing, do you all remember when Carlos Corberán was the next chosen one and was the perfect choice for us? West Brom have scored 3 goals in the last 6 and they've not won in the last 7. So let's just all remember that these things happen to every single team and will happen all the way throughout the season before we just keep losing our heads.
100%. Exactly. Reese says, crap day at work. Trump is president. Leeds lose. I've had better days. Sean says, from the 90-point trophy to the best team on paper trophy. Woo-hoo. Yeah, Dan says, I don't care we played tonight. I'm just happy Andrea is back. The mum overload's been a member for 20 months and Jack puts it perfectly. We got fecking Millwall. I'm off to bed. Does anyone want to? Does anyone have any burning desires before we split?
I would just like to say that I like that Farke doesn't change what he does. I don't know why everybody says we've got to go to Millwall and then he's got to switch up what he does, or we've got to worry about Millwall. I think playing the way that you play, or playing the way that Farke plays, will win significantly more games than we lose, and we will go up with him. So I don't really want him to go to Millwall, and then I look at team sheet and go, where's the continuity there? Also, then by the time we go up, which we will go up, when we go up, which we will, which will be next season once we've gone up, when we do, we will be up with the manager that will have something to prove, playing a certain way. We won't be going there and doing a Chris Wilder, which I just honestly, I wouldn't want to watch. So
yeah, that's what I mean. All these people, people are saying the standards are on the floor. We've got to go up. No one on here is not saying that we won't. We've just lost a game.
I'm just an emotional wreck today. That's all that it is. I'm a little bit tired. I've had a tooth taken out. It's taken out of me a little bit. I haven't eaten very well for the past 3 days. And when Paul gets hungry, he gets hangry. So I love everybody, and Leeds are going to go up as champions.
Yeah, we've had 6 shots on target on our goal in 5 games now.
Yeah,
insane. We're doing something right, aren't we? Do you know what I mean? We're just sort of just a shame we're on the wrong end of one tonight. I would just like to say, it'd be nice to see the 10 of you that are in the chat in a couple of months' time when we've lost again. It'd be quite nice.
They will be there. They will be there. JT, give us something positive to end the show with, bro.
Positive to end the show. I mean, you're scratching for positives with certain things, but listen, mate, I will tell you something. If he does decide to wise up, get Patrick Bamford back into that starting number 9 role, get Solomon starting to go, then that is the positive, because that is 3 points flying in left, right, and center, baby, in there like swimwear, cash it in the bank. Patrick Bamford, you need him in that team. You need some more synergy up front. If he does decide to finally bite the bullet and get him in there, wins will start coming, because it's just that final piece of the jigsaw missing, in my opinion.
Welcome to the Pat Bamford dark side, my brother.
Hey, I've been in the Pat Bamford dark side for years.
I like GT honesty, because there's others that have agendas against certain players.
Listen, we're only 4 points off the top with a hell of a lot of football left to play, 32 games to be precise. So yeah, QPR, we owe them one. That'll be Saturday. Make sure you join us. Smash a like on the video. Subscribe to all these amazing channels, which is Joe Blackburn, Discourse of a Peacock. Follow Andrea on Twitter. JT Live, Jack City of Leeds fans. Listen to his music as well. It's top notch. Luke at Ought to Know Better. Paul at Leeds Therapy. And finally, subscribe here. And thank you for watching. And we'll see you tomorrow. Peace out, man.